Christopher Ward make 50% of their fans happy. Own another Apocalypse Now watch strap now. eBay protects your 10k, and Hamilton go all out on the movie watch references. Hi everyone, welcome back to Casual Watch Talk. You're joined by Sam and Chris. How have you been, Chris?
Excellent. It's good here. It's we're just starting to get into we're into May. So if everybody jump ahead for May 1st, and we're now into the May gray here in SoCal, which is nice because it stays kind of overcast in the morning, cool, and then gorgeous around 10:30, 11 o'clock. So
yeah, it's starting to warm up here a little in Florida. So this will be the test for us, whether us pale British people can survive the Florida
hack it. Yeah.
Right. Can hack it.
Yeah.
Well, we've got an interesting show for you. It's been a bit light on the news stories, so we're going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to throw in a watch review because we were kindly sent in to borrow a watch from Mark at Long Island Watches. So we'll go over that later. But what about kicking it off with a watch obsession, Chris? Have you had one this week?
Yeah, I had one this for sure. So over on Instagram, and you know what? Why not? Let's do a shout out. Just About Time Official. That's just_about_time_official. Posted up his Citizen 7040. And this is apparently, and Sam, if you want to Google a picture of it. So yeah, the Citizen 7040 chronograph, apparently only available in Europe. Immediately struck. This is, to me, super awesome looking pilot chronograph. I love the 4. I love the top closed 4. The lume is amazing. It's an eco drive, so it's an everyday grab and wear. I'm curious to know, so first impression, Sam, what do you think?
I like the look of this. This is brand new to me. It looks like the dial is, like you said, very well proportioned. None of the numbers have been sacrificed to make way for the subdials.
Right, subdials, exactly.
It's got those IWC similar hands.
You mentioned IWC. We'll talk about that in a second. Here are the 41 mil with a 20 mil lug width. How awesome is that?
Yeah, spot on, isn't it? That's almost perfect.
Yeah. So the question for our viewers is blue or black? I'm not fond of the patina dial. They do a patina dial too, but they do blue dial, black dial.
Oh, I'm liking this blue.
I know. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the new IWC. That blue chronograph. Right. That blue chronograph. So the question for the viewers, would you go black every day, keep it in the rotation because it's quartz grab and go, or would you go blue and use it as a placeholder for the future IWC chronograph? I don't know. So that's my dilemma right now. It's like, I feel like if I get the blue one, I feel like I'd want to replace it with the IWC. So I'm thinking picking up the black one because I think that'll just stay in the collection.
Yeah, and it has similarities to that Zin model, doesn't it? There's a Zin that's got a similar sort of cushiony type case to it.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same layout style, and what is it like? I'm trying to think which model Zin, but yeah, very, very, classic pilot chronograph with the triangle on the top. It just looks the business. And I've had EcoDrive Citizen before, so I know the battery's gonna be great in it. You're just gonna leave it, occasionally have to leave it on the windowsill just to charge up, and then it's good to go. So yeah.
I've always said this on the channel, that Citizen EcoDrive watch family of watches, those movements are fantastic. Every one that I've ever owned.
Looks like you can pick it up for around $200.
Wow. That's decent.
Yeah. I think that's the next one, the next pickup. So pretty cool. But yeah, let me know down in the comments, black or blue. What do you guys think?
I haven't exactly had a watch obsession except for the Rolex, which I put my name down for, which we'll talk about in a second. I'll do a little 2-for-1 here. But I had to do a big shout out for a watch that got a lot of traction over on the Facebook group, and that is the Circa Diver. I think this looks really cool and vintage. I mean, for me, it needs to have the date, but this seems to be a newish watch brand, and this is their first diver. But there's just something about this with the double bezel on there as well. I mean, it looks awesome. Did you manage to catch this one?
I don't think I did. It looks similar to something that I just saw. Bezel is interesting.
Yeah, this was a big. This was a real talking point over on the Facebook group. So I think TJ first shared it, then Steven did. This one has a Milanese band to it with that distinctive articulation at the lugs here. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks great. I think super distinct dial. And then 12-hour inner bezel, and then it looks like the countdown on the outside. I like the markings on it. It's super unique. And then I assume it's like a 200-meter diver.
It's actually 300 meters with
good.
a screw-down crown. It says Swiss caliber Newton. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, a little bit of a shout out for the fact that this got so much love on the Facebook group there.
Yeah, no, it's great looking. That's a great looking vintage diver.
I guess my real watch obsession has been the Rolex that I put my name down for. So I went into the AD, I was telling this story, spoke to a guy called Justin. A big shout out to Justin, because I went in again on Sunday just to reconfirm that I definitely wanted it. Because I told them originally I wanted the Oyster Perpetual, the green one, and I know there's little to no chance of getting that. So I went for one that I would love to own, which is the Datejust 41 in the slate grey dial or the blue. And I'd originally got put on the list for the Jubilee, so I just went back in there and said I would take it on the Oyster as well, just to see what happens.
I would love the backstory. I would love like a behind the scenes. Where they're just like, where you have this like legitimate, like, hey, I've come back twice, legitimate business. I'm not like a guy who just registered in the forums and posted once here. I actually want this thing, kind of, hey, you might have seen my YouTube channel. I mean, I would bring out all the stops, Sam. But,
well, I've started chronicling it over on the Facebook group. So another little plug for everyone to join Casual Watch Talk Facebook group. I went into a bit more detail than I am here. It shocked me last week, but it also shocked me this week that we were stood in front of a glass cabinet with, I guess it had 60 slots for watches, but it was probably 2 feet by 5 feet. You could have probably fitted 60 watches in there and it wouldn't have looked crowded.
Right.
There was one watch, a day date, which I think they're only in precious metal now.
Yeah. So
I feel really sorry for the sales reps in there that they really haven't got anything they can show.
Can't they innovate? I mean, I think if I was an AD, I think at this point I'd be printing out pictures of the watch and having people cut out little pictures and just, I mean, as dorky as that sounds, just to be like, hey, maybe we can get you one of these.
Well, it's funny you say that. They have the iPads there, so they show you actually on the iPad what's there, but they could do something innovative, like say, like have maybe a touch screen, have the counter a touch screen, and you can sort of expand the watches out and stuff. Or maybe even, I don't suppose it wouldn't be like back in the day when you went to buy a mobile phone and they had the actual plastic dummy one on there. That wouldn't be cool.
Why not? Yeah, just have Rolex make up about 50,000 of the sample dummy models, but then those would be trading for $10,000 on Chrono 24.
Yeah, with
no movement. It was just like dial hands, no movement. $25,000 for a empty Daytona.
Well, I'll keep everyone posted how I get on, and also I'm gonna maybe I'll do it periodically, or maybe I'll do it when I actually, if I am lucky enough to get hold of one. I'll talk about how I saved the money for it and where I took the money from, because I did sell a bit of stocks and crypto. So when we get there and I hand over the cash, we'll work out whether I made a good investment or not. would I have made more leaving it in crypto?
I say. I mean, and track it for the future too, right?
Yeah. So I won't be selling it. Won't be flipping this date. Just I will be wearing it, but we'll still keep a track of what its current market value is, so we can do a comparison. That'll be pretty interesting.
All right. Stay tuned.
So next, I thought we'd do a new section, Chris. Have a little bit of a fun with this, and I'll pick a watch, or we'll take it in turns picking watches, and we'll decide ones that have been recently released, and we'll decide whether they're hit or miss. So this section will be called hit and miss. I'll insert some graphic of like a baseball player or something, or whatever I can find free on the internet. Royalty free.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Well, this week I thought we would kick the inaugural section of hit or miss off with a new Rado that I saw online. And this one, I don't know if it's brand new, but I've certainly seen a little bit of buzz around it. This is the True Square Taj Chuan. I probably murdered that.
Chuhan. Okay.
Rado on their website haven't really got. They've just got this one picture. I don't know why. A Blog to Watch did a great one with some really nice photos on here. So it's yellow ceramic. It's got this real retro vibe to it. What do you think, Chris? Is this...
What does this remind me of? This looks like... and you're right. The Blog to Watch pictures are great because that almost icon picture that looks like just a rendering on Rado's site is no good, but the Blog to Watch picture, this reminds me of a console television from the 60s or like a Speak and Spell. With that like rounded plastic. It doesn't look ceramic, it looks rounded plastic.
It does, doesn't it? They've gone to a lot of effort with the ceramic process to then make it look like it's plastic. I suppose that's part of the troll, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, really, the question is like if the 80s are back. So the 80s are the 80s are big. Maybe we're into the 90s now, but
well, I hope that the 80s come back in fashion because. Why the 90s ever came back in fashion. If you look in the window of Urban Outfitters and they've got all those I lived through the 90s. It was not known for its fashion.
Right. No. Like Dad's old grungy, wool shirt. Like no one, that's why we wore it because it was warm. We wore it because it was fashion.
I know the Alessi things. I mean, it was... and how the Kappa jackets have come back in fashion.
Yeah, I got my jean jacket with writing on the back. So that's gonna go up on auction pretty soon. That's worth that's worth at least what I paid for it in 1990. All right, hit or miss.
What do you think? Hit or miss? We'll do a poll over on the Casual Watch Talk Facebook group so that you can also vote on this. What do you think, Chris?
All right, second take at it. The red second. Sort of the blue corner mark. From a design standpoint, it's a hit. I think this is like a fun fashion watch. I say hit.
I think I also agree that this is going to be a hit if they market it right, because it's one of those watches that when you see it first off, it might not be to your personal taste, but it's one of those watches that whoever owns this watch is going to absolutely love it. This is going to suit somebody's personality just down to an absolute T.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a real icon for them. I actually agree. So I guess we could have gone either way on that, but I also agree that I think it's a hit. But let us know over on the Facebook group what you think. Well, that was a little bit of fun with hit or miss. Let's kick it off with This Week in Watches. So first story is one that you might have seen the special, if not, definitely go over and watch it, but the new Christopher Ward watch releases. And I had a little bit of a joke at the start, Chris, that they could only please 50% of their fans. And I mean that a little bit tongue-in-cheek because we've got some great comments over on that interview that we did. I feel like Christopher Ward is one of those brands where they can't seem to win on a few things. One is the placement of their name or the style of the logo that they use.
That's definitely, and unfortunately that's become a trope. I've even called them out on it.
And then also the sizing seems to be very divisive. So there's a whole load of people that look. I'm definitely one that thinks this is a home run for them. Doing it in 39 millimeters is an absolute home run for them. But there's equal amounts of comments about people that really liked the larger Christopher Ward watches and knew and loved them for that.
Yeah.
So they kind of see it as that it's such a departure from what they're used to, this 42 millimeters with the 22 millimeters. I, for one, think that these watches, this Sealander, is an absolute home run. They didn't... Mike came on the channel, but they haven't paid Chris or I to say this. They haven't sent us a free watch or anything. I think this is an absolute home run for them. I especially love the auto.
And talking about the size, I mean, in the interview, Mike even said they were thinking about 36.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be divisive, I think. So that's that. I feel like that really would. I don't think I could do a 36. But again, like not everybody has this 7.5 interest, and we've kind of seen this at least for as long as I've been collecting watches involved, etc. There was a big tendency, probably 5-6 years ago, something that just everybody just went big. And it was like 44 everything. I mean, there's still some brands out there. I mean, even, you look at some of the Seiko divers and like, you wouldn't, today we would not really worry about a 44 mil Seiko Turtle. But that's a big watch, and so the sizes went up, and then everybody, and you saw you saw King Rolex go up with the sizes. And then everyone's like, yeah, 41 is big enough. And then they flipped around and we're back down. So it kind of, I feel like it's a little bit bobbing on the ocean where we're going to have high tide, low tide. And right now we're going into, 39.
Which was your favorite of these, Chris? Did you have one that you really sort of caught your eye of their new releases?
I mean, the white dial GMT looks
really?
Yeah. Looks so good.
It really does look good. I'm a big fan of the white dialed auto. I still think the auto is my favorite one, but yeah, I think this is awesome. The white dial GMT. Yeah. And right now it's for Christopher Ward, it's second place to their previous released chronograph. But yeah, that was from this release. I mean, I think this is just a sharp looking, and it gives you the vibe of that crisp Explorer type, but certainly not for the same price. So certainly for a great price. Yeah, exactly. And I said this to Mike. If you've not seen the interview, guys, I highly recommend it. He's just Mike France at Christopher Ward. He's just an expert in the watch industry in general. He's just a really good resource. But I mentioned to him that I thought it was quite funny that Rolex was a bit of a flash in the pan on the Explorer, wasn't it? People were expecting big things, and then Christopher Ward come out with what looks like an evolution of the Explorer.
Yeah, I might do this later. I might post it up on the Facebook group. I'm going to I'll Photoshop a Rolex. I'll do some blasphemy Photoshop a crown on there, and then just take the Christopher Ward off and be like, what do you think? And I'm sure, I mean, looking pretty, like, hey, there's the new Rolex. But
yeah, absolutely. So check it out. Check out the interview, and I would highly encourage you to check out Christopher Ward. Maybe if you haven't looked at them before, because they've been a bit on the larger side. I think they've done a great job, and also the story behind that new titanium Elite one. It's well worth hearing from Mike directly. Okay, well, let's move on to our next story here. I got note from our friends over at Norcane. They kindly sent me that Adventure Sport in, which was a larger watch, but I really enjoyed it. But they've just released a new Freedom 60 in a 39mm bronze. So I wouldn't say it's a ladies' watch. It's definitely more of a unisex model, but a smaller watch than what they're typically known for. They're known for those larger sports watches, but I think they've done a great job of this one. This in a bronze. Did you manage to catch this one, Chris?
No, new to me. New to me. And this is the bronze with the green dial?
This is bronze with a blacker dial, clean dial, no date or anything like that, but a chronometer certified watch.
Oh, okay. So the size. Okay, so the size is down a little bit. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And chronometer rated, is that?
Yeah, I think so.
Well?
Let me just check Let me just check the spec. It's certainly got it printed on the dial, which you don't normally see that.
Yeah, and I think for if it's Swiss made, I feel like that's a requirement. I don't think they could put that on there without having it certified.
They get their movements from the same place as Tudor does.
Okay.
So Tudor's in-house movements are made at the same place. Yes,
in-house
they're in-house. They should say that, shouldn't they? They should say in-house specified.
Yeah, in-house star triangle. Yeah, like
I've reviewed one of these Norqain watches. Yeah. I think that they are punching well above their weight in that they're sort of around just a bit cheaper. I wouldn't say cheaper, a bit more affordable than Breitling, but I would say the quality is well on par with Breitling. Yeah, from what I've seen.
Yeah, it looks sharp. Looks sharp. I'm not a bronze guy. Woman, but certainly it looks sharp. And then for that rating, Swiss made. I think the price is reasonable on that.
Yeah. No, I do as well. So big shout out to Caroline over at Norqain. We often have a little bit of a chat back and forth on the email about the watch industry and stuff, and I hope they do well. It's her brother Ben that owns the company. Next story, I don't often go on this website myself. I've bought watch straps from them in the past, and I know some people love this website, but this is Cheapest NATO. So let me just show you this. Have you ever bought from Cheapest NATO's, Chris?
Yeah, I think once. Yeah, and they're UK based, right?
I think they're based in Sweden.
Oh, okay.
I think they're based in Sweden.
EU based.
They are certainly European based.
Okay, yeah.
They're somewhere around there. I'm sure we'll be corrected if we're wrong, but they've bought out. So when we think of Apocalypse Now, we think of those great watch straps that Uncle Seiko does. So the chocolate bar strap, the waffle strap. But I think this is the first time anyone's done the strap that Marlon Brando wore on that very distinctive GMT was minus its bezel.
Right.
So I'll throw a picture up on here. But they've done what they say is one of the first reproductions of this or reissues of this strap. It's all rubber, available in 18, 19, and 20 millimeters. I mean, it's no joke that it's Cheapest NATO's. They're knocking these out at $7.95.
Yeah.
So I've ordered one of these just to see what it's like. I'm interested to see what it looks like.
Do we know was it a leather strap in the movie and then they made it rubber, or it was actually? It looks like obviously they matched the texture.
I tried to do a little bit of a research on this. I think it was a rubber strap because they've even textured the back. And the back looks like it's vintage as well. So I think I think they've reproduced the strap. You're right. It does look a bit like leather, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like a patent. It looks like a stamped like it. Like fake in that way. It the fake animal skin. But it kind of has that look certainly. But it's a rubber strap. Interesting, and it's a very you don't often see that sort of tapered design these days. You typically see that I prefer that, I've got a 20 mil that's, it's 20 mil the whole way down. The silicone bands are like that too. So I think the taper certainly adds a little bit more dress to it. And then just, knock your bezel off your GMT and go for it.
I don't think I'll be going that far. I'm interested to see what the quality is like. I have bought from them in the past and not had a lot of luck, so I am interested to see what the quality of this one's like. But I thought it was interesting anyway, so we'll share it with the viewers here on the show. This next story I found really interesting. I know we like to do a story on eBay because it is interesting. I buy and sell a lot of things on eBay, and I think What would you say, Chris? In the last 3 or 4 years, they've really made a push into this luxury watch area.
Yep. They started like last year, maybe even but just before, and started with their watch guarantee, and then really turned up the marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. So they started. If anybody's not familiar, they started with guarantee service. So any watch that's over $2,000. You send it to an intermediary, they'll inspect the watch and then give an authenticity guarantee, and then it goes on to So they've obviously had a lot of success with this. And Watch Pro, there's some amazing stats on here of near enough the amount of business that eBay's actually been doing. So they're saying that close to 8 million luxury watches were listed for sale on eBay in 2020.
Okay, listed for... Okay, wait. Okay, listed for sale, not sold. Okay.
And it says, so Watch Pro have done some maths here, and they're saying if the average sales price was $2,000 and they all sold, eBay had the potential to generate $16 billion.
Wow, yeah, for sure. It's a big number.
So 8 million were listed. They're saying that the Swiss luxury watch industry exports around 20 million new watches per year. They reckon that, and they were saying Rolex does 1 million watches per year. So listed on eBay last year was 8 times what Rolex's production was.
Yeah.
It really puts it into perspective.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, just a back of the napkin kind of math there. If you figure, I don't know, maybe if you even say, let's just say 50%. Like, let's just say 50% of those were sold. I mean, maybe it's not that high, but even then, that number is still big. Even at like 25%, that number is still big. That's a lot. That's a lot of luxury watches changing hands. I know I've purchased and sold. I'm part of those stats. Purchased and sold in the last year.
It gets a little bit more interesting here, and this is what the Watch Pro article's like, because the authenticity guarantees kind of old news now, if that's the right word, but they are now saying that they're going to protect $10,000. So any luxury watch over $10,000, they're going to, and this is a real, maybe not a nail in the coffin for Chrono 24, but this was one of the things that Chrono 24 still held over eBay. Not only was it slightly cheaper for Chrono 24, but they had that escrow service where the money went in and then it went into an escrow. So they're really sticking it to Chrono 24 this time, because they have set up their own escrow service. So how it works, which I think is pretty cool, is you sell your $10,000 plus watch.
Oh, I got 5 of them right here. Oh wait, no.
Oh, you got 5 of them in there. So you're selling your Submariner,
right?
And
yes.
It goes to the authenticity guarantee person.
Okay.
They guarantee it's authentic. It goes to the seller, the buyer, who then has 7 days to inspect the watch.
Oh.
So within 7 days, they can confirm that they're happy with it, and then the money gets released to you. If they don't do it within 7 days,
they have to return it.
They have to. Yeah, if they don't do it within 7 days, I think it gets auto released. But you do have the opportunity to return it. And I believe, from what the Watch Pro article says, I can be corrected on this, but I think the watch goes back to the intermediary who inspects it to make sure that it hasn't been tampered with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for that level, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's a real. I think
that's some real value add there.
Yeah, I think it really is. And if they pull this off, I hazard a guess, and if they can get their fees reasonable for this service, because I don't think there's any. It doesn't really talk about the fees. I'll be so bold as to say it would probably finish off Chrono 24.
Or take just dent a bunch of their market. I mean, so I'm trying to think that I know they. Just last year, they raised the fee to sellers for luxury watches. So I know I'm wrong here, but I feel like it's like 8%. But whatever that percentage is, it's up. So they've got some cash. They got some cash on hand to do more there. I was just talking to someone the other day. It really surprises me. I know eBay and PayPal were intertwined back in the day. I don't remember what the relationship was, whether like PayPal owned eBay, or they had a agreement, or they were made by the same people. I forget what that was, but they were basically intertwined. And then a number of years ago now, PayPal split off from eBay, and they were two different companies. So you would, anything you bought or sold, you still had to, they made the transaction fairly easy, but you still had to go to your PayPal account and either initiate it or make sure that your eBay account was connected. So they have now since cut eBay off, and they want to start taking payments with their own credit card, which as a business, I kind of would have done that like way sooner. So I wonder if PayPal had an agreement with them or something, because I feel like as soon as PayPal walked, I would have been like, right, so credit card processing, because I'm not paying you, I'm going to get the 3%, thanks, and so now I see them sort of taking that on. Well, now that PayPal is kind of out of the loop there, I feel like now they can do these sort of things with escrow, because they're a payment processor now. So they're doing the escrow stuff. They're handling the transaction. And don't think for a second that they don't know, like, oh, we used to have you pay PayPal this percentage, so we'll be happy to take just that amount or just a little less than that and call it good. So they're collecting all of that money in fees now. So,
and there's also, I've been watching a lot of the Timepiece Gentleman and a few other of the high-end luxury watch dealers, and there's definitely a story there, because some of them don't use Chrono 24 anymore, so there's definitely a story there. I'm not quite sure. If we ever get a chance to interview Anthony over at the Timepiece Gentleman or Marco over there, I'd be really interested to know what the story is there, if they'd like to share it, why that they've kind of fallen out of favour, it seems like, anyway. Well, I thought as it was a lighter news week that we would do a mini watch review. So Mark at Long Island Watches kindly lent me one of his Islander watches. I did an interview with him a couple of weeks ago now, and we talked about the Islander watch, and I was interested to see one. So Chris, he sent me in, this is the Islander, the ISL-65, and if you can see it, it's like the Seiko Samurai. I don't think you can quite capture, when you have one of these in hand, all of the enhancements that he's made. So I think of him as taking standard Seiko style watches, maybe homage watches. So they've got similar cases to them. He's done it with an SKX style one, and now this is the Samurai case. And he's gone all out with the upgrades. He's basically done what a watch modder would do to one of those watches. The movement is the NH36, which we put in my turtle.
Yep, perfect.
So that's the date movement. We've got fully sapphire crystal in here, and it is slightly boxed as well, so we've got a raised sapphire crystal on here, which really frames the dial. Here it's a completely matte black dial with the Marine Master style hands. Then we've got the applied indices, and he's put this, I don't know whether you'd call it an engineer type bracelet on here, but it's incredibly solid feeling bracelet. The whole watch has definitely got some heft to it. You're going to need a substantial-ish wrist to pull this off, because it has a lot of weight to it. Have you seen these online, Chris? What do you think of these Islanders?
I've seen a couple. They look sharp. They're that case, and I think the you said the like engineer style bracelet, that sort of like often a like a hexagon or style, but I think it really matches the case. It's a good match. And is the bezel insert also clear, or is it?
The bezel insert is also sapphire as well, so that's something you never see on a Seiko watch.
Yeah, you definitely nailed it. Is like, it is one thing that that Mark's got, is what a modder would do out of the box to that watch. And just the list of things that I feel like the same exact list of things that were on my list 2-3 years ago is like, I want to update the hands. I want to go to a sapphire crystal. I want to go to a cool ceramic or sapphire bezel insert. Maybe change the bracelet on it, something like that. So that's really, like, it's like the top of that list. And so if you instead of learning how to be a watch modder, you just pick one of these up.
If you're looking at a Seiko or you're interested in what these Islander watches are, I would have no doubts about buying one of these myself. $329 for this, I think, is an absolute bargain. It's over-spec'd for that price. It's over-spec'd for an equivalent Seiko, and I think it's done a great job. A big shout out to Mark for sending this over. And guys, if you're interested, I would recommend these. Rounding out the show, this one, it's not really a news story, but I found it pretty interesting. I don't know whether they've recently started doing this, Chris, or it's been a while since I've been on the Hamilton website. I really think I forget every time I go on the Hamilton website how much I like their watches.
It's and there are. I was just looking at the Jazzmaster chronograph the other day, and I was like, God, this watch is so good.
And every one that I've owned, that's a slight lie. Every mechanical one that I've owned, I thought they've done a great job of. I had one that was a quartz that I didn't really like that much, but their autos have all been spot on for me. What I thought was interesting when I went on this time was, I think watch collectors associate Hamiltons with the movies that they're in, but I don't think the casual watch buyer would know that really, what specific watches that Hamilton's been in. They might recognize it from films, but I thought it was interesting that they've actually doubled down on this. Maybe they've noticed that people don't know which watches were in which films, and they've now got a section called movie watches online. Have you seen this?
I haven't, but it's clever.
It's really clever. I mean, some films I'm sure they'd like to forget about, like that ridiculous Part 2 of Independence Day that was filmed. But if I just show you these, so not only do you have the watch on here, so you can see all the beautiful watches that they've got here. So it's got the little symbol here denoting that it's a movie watch, and then if you click on it, it will actually tell you here, the asterisk, look, featured in Pearl Harbor 2001.
Okay, all right.
I think that's
cool. Yeah.
I don't know why it's tickled me so much, but I think it's really cool the way they did that. Featured in the Independence Day Resurgence 2016, and it tells you the character
worn by,
who it was played by.
Oh, cool. And just so they are just doing movie. I wonder if would they do TV too? Because don't they have?
Oh, here we go. Let's see if you're right. Yes.
All right.
Jack Ryan season 1.
All right. I know my Hamilton IMDb trivia. All right.
We should have done this as a quiz.
I know.
I apologize to the audio listeners. I've just realized that this section, it just means absolutely nothing if you're listening to it. I'm so sorry for the audio listeners. We're on Hamilton's website, and they've got the watches with the little movie symbols, and you can click on them. So apologies to the audio listeners. They've got the Murph watch there. Mm-hmm. They've got the ones that are in Men in Black. I just think it's a real cool thing. They've got that Below Zero, which is the one from, I wonder if they'll say The Martian or whether they'll say Tenant. Oh, it does say the Martian there.
Yeah. We don't talk about the Tenant watch.
We don't talk about the Tenant watch. If anybody's... don't get me started on that. In fact, I don't see the Tenant watch on there.
I don't.
I wonder if they got such a backlash from it that they no longer do. If anybody's not familiar and you've seen Tenant, that Below Zero watch, which is the one that was in The Martian, they took that watch and... Have you seen Tenant yet, Chris?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm sorry. But
I think the whole thing is about time, actually. It's a real Watch Geeks film.
On my list. Okay, I got to get it on my list.
Yeah, so they took the Below Zero watch and they made it like an Annie Digi in the film, that is. But it's not so much that they made it an Annie Digi in the film, but it has a real meaning. It's a real character in the film, and the fact that it had the Annie Digi in it actually means something in the film. Anybody who's seen it, they'll know. Yeah, and then Hamilton just chose not to do an Annie Digi for it. They just did
they just kind of made it color decoded, or they just changed they just changed the hand, the second hand, I think it was. It was ridiculous. But, I feel like that khaki navy is definitely the Martian watch first before that. So trying to get it in as many films as possible. They're trying to get in stuff because the Ventura, I mean, shows up in a bunch of stuff.
Featured in Men in Black 1, 3, and 4, worn by Agent K, played by Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones, and Tessa Thompson. So they've got the 3 ones that were all in Men in Black.
Men in Black, okay. Yeah. And originally, who is it? Elvis basically the Elvis watch. That's the sort of most common association for the Ventura.
Well, guys, that was this week in watches. So big thanks for watching. As always, we appreciate you listening and watching, and we'll see you next time on Casual Watch Talk. Thanks, guys. Bye.